we're live
well,
again.
that's fine. It's nothing like not being ready. I mean, which that's a
That's
weekly
our MO.
occurrence.
That's our MO.
So let me see here. Let me pull notes up. Show 302. Got it. Let me go to files and make sure that, I got that up so I can see where you're going when you're going to go pull those up. And Shazam, I'm ready to go.
Okay, just like that. All right, so um, you'll just have to kind of prod me along if you got any links because I kind of looked at the notes, but I didn't open any of the links and pre-open them because I had to reboot Mac finally after like 3 weeks of not rebooting it. Anyway, so as usual, it will be amateur hour. Maybe we'll have a couple of people show up for the show tonight. I did actually get the show notification out early this afternoon. I gave everybody 3 or 4 hours notice.
Look at you, high achiever.
Yes. No
I
fishing this
look.
week, so I was actually focused slightly on Bossier watching politics.
I know. And would you know that I actually had the notes of what I wanted to talk about in this show done before noon today. I had it done
Whoa.
right out of the gate early.
Your super achiever day. Well, that's pretty good because I hope you got the saddle on your back because you might be carrying me through this show. I'm just going to kind of ramble with a few little quips and ad libs and that here and there. We'll see. We do have a guest tonight. Isn't Jill going to be on tonight?
We have Jill Hines, and a lot of y'all, we haven't had Jill on in a long time with Health Freedom. And anyway, it's political season. Jill's not I shouldn't say political because I guess that
Oh,
she is political now. But we're going to have Jill on, and from the perspective of health freedom on this Senate race, and we're going to talk about some stuff, and
oh.
we're going to go into carbon capture. A lot of people sent us messages. In fact, I can think of one request that somebody made. They said, I really wish one of these shows y'all would really do a deep dive into and talking about carbon capture as it applies in this U.S. Senate race, because they said, you know, I hear all the accusations and I can't just make heads or tails of any of it. And
Well,
we haven't
but
done
we've
it.
but we've talked about it. Maybe I'm imagining things, but we've talked about it some before. I know I've
Oh,
gotten.
absolutely.
Okay,
You
okay,
and I were some of the first people to ever start talking about the CCS stuff.
okay.
I mean, we were way ahead of everybody else. But that's not the point. The point is as it applies into the Senate race, because this issue was injected into the Senate race. It's been made one of the principal issues of it. And, you know, everybody is a liar. Everybody is a liar in the Senate race. And, we've kind of tried to stay clear of it and not completely get into this thing. And but
Well, we did kind of get into it last show, though. Remember, we said out of spite, we were voting for Julia Letlow.
well, I don't know that we said that. We
Oh, I
jokingly
did.
said that. Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know if I meant it. We'll see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a write in for Bill Cassidy. With all this drama going on, just give us Bill Cassidy back. I mean, all he did was vote to impeach Trump and play obstructionist for a while, and now he got pissed off and he's being an obstructionist again. But I mean, that's got to be less drama than what's going on now. I say we write back in Bill Cassidy.
I thought that was funny earlier, but I got to throw you under the bus now. I can't. I no, can't do it.
You
I'm
can't
sorry.
stomach that? Okay. All right.
I'll
Well, we'll
I'll
scratch
take
that idea.
I'll take either of the candidates now. They're left over. I'll do that.
Okay. So we've gotten you to admit you'll accept either one. Are we
Yep.
going to have to do
Yep.
a recount though? That's the thing.
Well, if we could count on getting accurate information from the Secretary of State, and if you wanted to do a recount and requested that, if you could get it, that would be one thing. But I think we've proven before on this show that you can't get that. I
All right.
mean, not even for a city council race in Bossier City.
Well, you can only recount certain number of ballots, which is just a small sampling of it actually, and that's about it. So it's really not a true recount. It's having the machine retabulate the same tabulations it did before. So it's not really a true recount. Yeah, and we've covered that multiple times on the show.
All right. So, hey, look, there's about 40 people sitting in the comments already. So, heck, I'm going to put y'all to the test right out of the gate before we go down this road and before we go down and get into the nuts and bolts of this show. I want to know from all of y'all, how many of y'all are against carbon capture and sequestration? You're for it or you against it?
Pick me, pick me. No, I won't go on my soapbox about it right now. I'll save that soapbox for later.
Yes, save that for a little bit. But I just want to know who all is against carbon capture sequestration. How many of y'all are against that?
Yeah, y'all think about that. All right. So we're going to have Jill Hines on. It's going to not necessarily be about health, but maybe a little bit, but also politics, which of course leads us into the next topic, Letlow v. Fleming. We should do that like they do the boxing matches. But anyway,
No,
then
yeah.
there's some kind of scandal going on in Haughton. What's wrong with your hometown?
Oh, if y'all know some teachers or somebody in the school board or something like that. I mean, it's a big old Tom Aswell, longtime journalist reporter. I don't know him. I know who he is, and he's been around a while. He reported a story regarding a complaint that apparently was made with the legislative auditor regarding uh, students being passed out of school at Haughton, as well as getting credit for classes that weren't even available or offered out there at Haughton.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think we could. There's not a lot to report on this. It's really hot off the presses, but
But it went all the way to the legislative auditor's office?
yeah, apparently there's an
Hmm.
investigation, and allegedly this story and approval goes up to the administration of the Bossier Parish school system. So
Very interesting.
I don't know really a whole lot about it, but I've done a little bit of questioning and asking around, and that the from what I'm told, the charges are legitimate, that this issue or this questionable activity did happen, and that the administration has done some questionable moves, and as I
Well,
appreciate it, probably where these things originated from were from someone that was handpicked and put into a position that maybe they shouldn't have been in.
hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how much authority and discretion, I guess those would be good enough terms on the fly, that a principal or administrators or whatever would have in modifying grades, and whether that's if there's any statute against that or if it's just a local school policy. Is it a school board policy? Anybody in the comments that's a teacher or works for the school board or whatever, let me know, because I've never
Well,
actually
well, I
considered that. I mean, I've had teachers
well,
change
well, look, if you're
grades for students or do things like that. So I mean, how
if you're
far down that
giving
rabbit hole does it go?
if you're giving credits to students to pass them out of high school for courses that are not even offered at the school,
Oh,
I think that's a problem.
and so
And
and to be fair,
and
these weren't like extra credit online courses that like
no, no, and so let me say this.
okay.
Let me say this. The administration is allegedly has a hand in all of this. So I don't want to hear anything out of the administration. There needs to be, like, in the federal government, a special counsel. There needs to be an unbiased investigation. Somebody from the outside needs to come in and investigate everyone's role, from the administration of the school system. I'm talking about from the top all the way down to the principal of Haughton.
Hmm.
I mean, that needs to be figured out because I mean, if you can't count on, you know, the education being legitimate, what can you count on coming
Well,
out of any of it?
look, at every school, and full disclosure, and I've said it before, so I won't dwell on it. I think I may have either been very lucky or whatever, but the schools that I went to as a child, all public schools, uh, great schools. I mean, they may not have been necessarily ranked the highest, although Ruston High certainly was, at least during the era that I went to Ruston High. But I went to some good schools that had great programs, but they were all, we all knew kids, and you probably did too, or whatever, and folks watching that, they weren't the sharpest book smart kids, and they just kind of got passed
Heck, that
along till
was
they
me.
graduated. Okay, yeah, so
That was
you're a prime
me.
example. There we go. Yeah,
But if they'd have tested me on fishing and hunting, I'd have been a valedictorian.
I know. I lost my Ruston High School graduation senior ring. I don't know where the heck it is, but I had a fishing guy on mine. You know, anyway. All right, so I'll digress. But let's go to our next topic. So, the Bossier Parish police jury admits illegality. Did they or did they not? Well, we'll talk about that some more after the break, but it has to do with the library board. And we've got some Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office kind of updates. But anyway, some more information about Claiborne Parish, just a tidbit that we'll review. And they haven't finished responding to our public information request. So I guess we're going to have to turn the heat up on that a little bit. And I got to say, what did you think of our show thumbnail graphic? Who, who are the Tattletales?
Well, I don't look at it or think of it as tattletales. I don't whatsoever. But what I do is that if you, I'll save my comments on that.
Okay. Yeah, save
I'll
them for
save my
after the
comments
break.
on that.
Save them for after the break.
Yeah.
How about that? So, how
Yep.
about we go ahead and go to the little 30, 45-second break, and we'll come out of it, and we'll just launch right into, I don't know, whatever topics. Now, what time is Jill scheduled to be on? About 7:45-ish, give or
I
take?
told her 7:45, but I can message her when we get to that part of the show, and she
Okay.
can join right in.
Well, perfect. Well, I am going to hit the little intro ad button. Folks, y'all know the drill if you've been watching for a while. If you haven't been, we'll be right back in about 30 seconds. So go make some quick popcorn, make a quick stiff drink. We'll be right back. And I don't know, we'll start jibber jabbering some more. Here we go. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we're back. Hey, by the way, how does my audio sound?
Oh, it sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay. Just making sure that it's not cricking and
Well,
crackling and all that.
well, look, I gotta say, all of y'all out there in the audience watching, so y'all are hanging me out big time here because I only see one person in the comment
No, make it two.
that is there two that addressed the question that I asked in the beginning.
Yeah.
Kara, my wife, says I'm against CCS.
Well, I don't know if
Okay,
Horatio's
well,
talking
there's
about
Cassie.
CC. Yeah, there's Cassie, and I don't know if Horatio was talking about oh hell no on my Cassidy comment, right? Cassidy write-in comment. That was mostly a joke. I say mostly. It's mostly a joke. So, Horatio, let us know if you were talking about my Cassidy write-in or are you against CCS? Clarify that so we have an accurate count. But yeah, we need some other people to light up the comments. I mean, there's 40-something people watching. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. I need to know. I need to know what y'all think. I need to know. Are you against CCS? I want to know.
All right, and look, I gotta give a little credit here. Richard Chauncey Howe says, "Go Bearcats." That reminds me of the days when Mickey Slaughter was going to the football games, and he would yell out in this voice that sounded almost like Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. Go Bearcats, and just this loud booming voice at the football games, and it was a spectacular thing as a high schooler. Anyway, but I digress. All right. So, I don't know. All right. So, first of all, I want to invite everybody because I'm officially a member of the Bossier RPEC, the Republican Executive Committee, or as that Robert Wright guy likes to say, he doesn't like to call it the RPEC, even though that is legally what it's called. He likes to call it the Bossier Parish Republican Party. Whatever. Anyway, I would like to invite everybody to the next meeting, which will be, when is it? Next Monday, I think.
No, I think it's next Monday. Yeah, first Monday of the month.
Yeah, you can go check the Bossier RPEC page. I guess, you know, they probably got it posted there. I don't know. I don't handle any of that kind of stuff for the RPEC. But anyway, go check it out there. We treat them as public meetings, and I think we've all agreed on that. That doesn't necessarily mean you get a comment period or anything like that, but you're at least come attend the meetings and see what the Republican Party in Bossier Parish is about. So there. And I'm sure Barry is cringing right now.
It should be entertaining.
Yeah, it should
So
be.
we got people getting on record about no CCS. Good, y'all keep it coming. I want to see everybody. You know, what do y'all think? You for it or against it? If you don't say anything and you don't take a position, that we have to assume that you're for it, because nobody would say they're for it.
Yeah,
but
and our good buddy David Womack. Our good buddy David Womack comments June 29th for the RPEC meeting. And I'd also like to thank Barbara Morris. I think Barbara's from Claiborne Parish or somewhere up in that area. She said the audio was good. Thank you for that. So, all right, I want to make an announcement, and I've said this before. Anything that I say on this show is public. Don't spit your coffee out or wine, whichever one it is. You can go put it on a billboard. As a matter of fact, it's literally on a billboard now. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to God and the rest of the public out there. So anything I say on this show, Duke, you can put it on a billboard, but I'll go even further.
Why does it have to be a billboard? Why can't you just put it in the newspaper?
Because nobody reads a damn newspaper anymore. All right, so.
Well, no, but I don't look at the billboards either.
I do, because I'm an advertising marketing type guy, so I look at them just to see how the ads are constructed. But aside from that, now, if I'm in a group chat or, like GroupMe or something like that, one of those apps, and we're discussing things back and forth, anything I say, put it on a billboard. Now, if you tell me something in confidence and say, hey, I want to keep this between us, I absolutely will maintain that confidence. And I think I've proven that time and time again, especially to my close friends, my not so close friends, and even my enemies. But there is a certain line that you don't cross, right, Duke?
I think there is a line, but am I claiming that where you're going with it? Absolutely not. I'm not. Whatever. I take the same position as you. That, you know what? Hey,
if you say
everything's out there. You say it. You say it. But when you credit someone with something that they didn't, I mean, that tends to be a little bit of an issue. And I mean, look, am I going to admit that people make mistakes and people say things? And have I said things and then realized that I did say it after the fact? I didn't remember it. Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody does that. That's not the case in this. I'm pretty confident that this is not the case. In fact, the screenshots and the reflect that that's not the case. But obstruction. Yeah, Ferris, you better put your seatbelt on in your recliner as you're watching this, because you might be going to bust your head and need 911 here in a little bit. But I don't deserve credit for what I've been given credit for this week. But before the end of this show, you're gonna, for those of you that want to take a shot at me, you're gonna have all the shots you want to take, and that's fine. I don't care, because like Rex said, I'll put it on a billboard, and I'm fixing to put it on a billboard. And David Womack, that goes for you too. You can get after me all you want after this. I don't care.
No.
So go ahead.
Okay. Well, again, to be clear, anything I say, go stick it on a billboard or even put it in the newspaper if you want. Or, gosh, you can post it on social media just like we're doing. And if you don't like something I say, um, go start your own podcast. If you don't like what Duke and I are talking about, go start your own podcast. Like you can do it for free or you can pay for the software like we do. I'll be glad to help you. And I've said this over and over and have done it on more than one occasion. I'll be glad to help you from the technical side. Duke, I'm sure you would be glad to help, a little bit from the political side on how we do things and all that. So, hey, you know,
We,
but,
we, you,
but,
you you even tried to help the Sobo boys.
yes, I
I
did.
specifically remember it.
They went down in flames, but that's a whole other story. So,
No,
but
did they
here's
go
the
down in flames or did they get what they wanted? I think
they
they
just
got what
got
they
their feet
wanted.
stuck in the concrete on the sidewalk. But anyway, so here's the thing. The problem I have is don't put words in my mouth because I know what I say before I say
Yep.
it. I think everything through, even when I'm rattling stuff off. And if I make a mistake, I generally correct myself pretty quick. So don't put words in my mouth or you're going to get a very public thrashing. Let me just put it that way. That's not a threat. It is a literal promise.
Well, we are not going to thrash anybody here, but
Okay.
what we are going to do is we are going to address factual things in this Senate race, and we're going to provide you with the evidence. And it is what it is because up to this point, I don't think from my perspective, and I was thinking about this today. So there's a perspective, right? I mean, we're sitting up here in Northwest Louisiana, and our media market is different than the media market across the state. I recognize that. And so the viewpoint and that I have is one that's primarily from Northwest Louisiana. And when I look at it, I have an opinion on what and how this Senate race has transpired. And so from that viewpoint is where I find the position that I'm at today. And we're going to go, I mean, more than neck deep into this. We're fixing to drown all of y'all, and y'all probably going to hate my guts afterwards, and that's fine. But you know what? What's that old saying or that thing we see on Facebook all the time? Those motivational things that said, when the crowd's all doing one thing, be that one lone voice to go the other direction. Well, that's damn sure going to be me tonight. But before we go there, let's clean up before Jill comes in. She's going to come in here in just a minute. Um, the Claiborne, the little bit of
Yeah.
Claiborne we're going to hit,
Yeah.
and
Let's do that real quick.
Bossier City. There's two things in Bossier City.
All right.
Chris Smith passed off the baton to. Wait a minute. Let me stop. Let me
What?
start over. Sobo passed the chair of the council to Sobo. Yay, Sobo!
Wait. What happened?
Chris's term as the chairman was up, and
Oh,
he
I
passed
see. I
he
hadn't even
passed it
paid
off to
attention.
Brian Hammonds.
Oh, imagine that. Well, hey, the bull in the china closet is the chairman. Hopefully, this is going to be grand.
I don't view it that way. I view it as Sobo taking care of Sobo.
Oh, it is, but that's okay. It's you know, he's the kind of the adopted third amigo. Because originally, well, yeah, originally it was Tommy. And let me make sure I get Chris Smith's three amigos that he created right. So let's see. Originally it was Tommy, Chris Smith, and what's that other guy's name? Oh, Cheeto, Shane Cheatham. Well, Tommy turned his back on Cheeto, which then he turned it back around, but just only recently. But Tommy turned his back on Cheeto. We all know that story. So that dropped one of the amigos out. Then along came Brian Hammonds. And so I guess he's the substitute third amigo. So excellent job there, Mr. Hammonds, on the ascension to the chairman, president, whatever, of the Bossier City Council.
Well,
First
hey,
order of business, change those rules of decorum and get them back to within First Amendment standards.
speaking of credit, it's funny that you bring that up. Hey, did you see the thing? And I've got a link in the notes there about the I-20, the upgrades. Did
Right.
you see that?
No. So is that in the Bossier City section of the notes? Is it that long Shreveport Times link?
Yeah, yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the one. I may have this backwards here. Oh, we
Well,
got a Sobo comment challenging us coming in. Weston Marriott. Did you mention it when Nobo handed it off to Nobo for 27 consecutive? Did you mention
27.
it when Nobo handed it off to Nobo for 27 consecutive years? Were we
Well,
doing a show then?
I mean, we've been doing this show a long time, and it seems like forever, and it probably does to everybody else, and y'all are tired of hearing it, but I don't think we've been doing it 27 years, unless my math is wrong. It was 2020 when we started. Isn't that right? So let's see.
No, I don't know.
2026
But
minus
the last
2020 would be not 27 years. So no, we
but see
didn't last.
what I didn't realize is when I was going against Nobo, I thought I was going for all of the citizens of Bossier. I didn't know I was going just to empower Sobo against all of Nobo. I didn't know
Well,
that.
I did
I guess
equate it
I
to
missed
I
I
equated
missed
it to
that.
a civil war and the Mason-Dixon line and all that. But I will say we both mentioned the Nobo versus Sobo situation ad nauseum for the last 6 years.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't get the message. I thought we were going for, what was in the best interest of everyone. I didn't think it was going to be so one-sided, but who knew? So
Yeah.
anyway, back to the link, back on point. They had the deal about everybody. They had a ribbon cutting, and everybody's patting each other on the back for getting the I-20 rehab. And I got to tell you,
Oh, yeah.
that
Let me get
crap's
the link
nice.
pulled up.
I drove down I-20, and I didn't lose a filling. It was freaking glorious.
Well, yeah. Here's the only, and this is such a first world problem, but are they actually finished or are they still doing these random, unscheduled cleanup things where just when you
Well, they
think you can get on I-20 and roll all the way to Shreveport, they have it down to one lane, like unannounced, because they're moving cones around or whatever they're doing. And so then you're down to one lane. So instead of being able to go the other way and go 220 and go on the north and cutting down and saving time, now you're burning up an extra 20 or 30 minutes. First world problem.
well,
Is all of that done?
yeah, well, I think it is, but I mean, look,
Okay.
they gotta always do cleanup stuff, and you can skip that first link, and we can just jump to the last the YouTube video because while nobody else wants to recognize, I think I will. We can just skip that. Let's
Oh,
speed up.
okay.
Jump down to that YouTube link that I have for you,
Yeah, all right. Let
and
me switch screens and then get to the YouTube link and then switch back.
the
Hold on.
the interesting thing was taking a walk down memory lane. I noticed that in the releases, you had the Chamber of Commerce, you had the mayor, you had the council, everybody was there high-fiving, in which, look, it was a great thing. But you know what I didn't see, and I wasn't there, I didn't know. But what I didn't see was a lot of the people that started asking questions about all of this. And the first question and the first time when this kind of really was being pressed by anybody in Bossier City was actually Tim Larkin on April 17th, 2018.
Oh,
And
we're doing a time machine here.
if you jump to the 1510 mark, hit
Mm-hmm.
play and let's listen to his comments.
All right. Well, hold on just a second. Let me get us up to the
And
15:10 mark. Here we go.
Mark, one question that's not on that, does the DOTD or the Federal Highway Administration communicate to your office any about I-20, specifically the roadbed that's between the racetrack and the river?
They invite me to those meetings when they have a group to talk about them. I was at a meeting about I-20 a few months ago. If it's big projects that he knows the city's interested in, they'll invite me so that I kind of know what's going on. It's their highway, it's their money, but just out of courtesy, they include me.
Is there just on the spot, and you could, and I don't know is a fine answer, but is there a picture in your mind of when they're gonna do something about the
Rehab
roadway?
I-20.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This is
Last
2018,
meeting,
y'all.
They admitted that the previous meetings over the last couple of years.
So
was
anyway,
kind
you
of
can
pie
you
in the
can stop.
sky that,
Yeah, I was about to fall asleep. But anyway, give us the gist of it.
The point is did these were all Novo guys. Did any of them get any credit? Nope.
Well, wait, did the Sobo guys get credit for the I-20 being fixed?
Well, I don't know. Was any of the old guys that started this crap
I mean,
out? Was they given
I
an
know Mike Johnson
invitation
tried to
to
take
come?
credit for it, and maybe
Well, I'm
that's
just saying
partially
it's
true.
like everybody's wanting to take credit for crap that they didn't do these days. That seems like the new norm.
Yeah, well, it's politicians.
Oh, okay. It's just you're right. It's just politics.
It's just politician. Come
I guess
on,
that's the
dude.
way it goes. Thank
Come
goodness
on,
for the
dude. That's
internet.
just the way it is. Come on.
Thank
All right.
goodness for the internet.
Yes, the wonderful world of the interwebs. All right, shall we talk about Claiborne Parish and get that out of the way?
Yeah, because we're clicking down here. Let's do it.
I can make this pretty quick. So we got an anonymous, sort of anonymous, I guess, email in. So I wanted to read
Hey
this.
Ferris, I said it was awesome. The road coming through there was great. It's heavenly compared to what it was, and I'm glad that it was done. I'm glad, but I'm just saying, in this new age of everybody taking credit for stuff, the original people that were raising the red flag about it were all of the old guys. Tim
Well,
Larkin, right there. I just showed you.
I bet if we
I
went back
mean,
in time another decade, we would probably, if there was video of it, we would see some mention of it because it's been going downhill for many, many years. It was decades overdue.
yeah, it was decades overdue. And the truth be known that they were already talking about that, trying to get it done. And I can remember being at Lions Club meetings and talking about that project and why it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed, planning and planning and planning, and I guess the engineering brotherhood trying to recalculate how much they were going to make. I don't know. But the bottom line is that originally the start of this, it wasn't just in 2023 when they started breaking dirt. This happened a long time before. And that's one of the things we do on the show, is to make sure credit is given where credit is due. And regardless of what people want to think, Tim Larkin, David Montgomery, and those guys deserve credit for pushing on this issue.
Well,
That's it.
That's
all.
They were talking about it. I don't know how much pushing they did. Maybe they did. Who knows? I mean, what could they do? It's a federally funded highway.
Yeah.
So we should have been 2018. Who was president in 2018? What was that guy's name?
Oh,
Trump.
Obama.
Oh,
was it Obama? No, Trump. I don't remember.
Well, I think Trump was
no,
still in
Trump.
office.
Trump. 2018. Trump.
Yeah, this is April 20. So
Trump.
where was Trump on all this? And at that point, I think had MJ ascended to Washington D.C. at that point?
He had, the money was appropriated. The money was appropriated.
Right. Yeah, let's give credit where credit's due. Okay, on to Claiborne Parish.
Oh, so now you're saying it was MJ's. It was all because of MJ. He's
absolutely. Oh, and I misspelled.
How do you know it wasn't John Fleming?
Was Fleming in D.C. in 2018? Yeah, he was with the first Trump administration, right?
Well, I don't know. You're challenging me here. I don't know when the appropriation was made. I guess I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, we'd have to look that back up. Anyway, so let's get to Claiborne Parish real quick before we get Jill on. So we've been getting lots of information from Claiborne Parish, allegations mostly, with not much substance to it. But we did get this letter in, and we've heard this from more than one person. It says, to the editor investigative team of BossierWatch. Did you know we had an investigative team, Duke?
Damn, I wish they would reach out to me. And
I know. Maybe they would let us know what they're doing sometimes. Anyway.
I got some information to share with them.
Yeah, it says, I know y'all probably can't read this on the small screen, but I'm going to read through it real quick. I'm writing to urge a closer independent look into the timing and nature of recent political and legal developments within Claiborne Parish. While our community often stays quiet out of fear or discomfort, public accountability requires us to look closer when major legal actions intersect directly with local elections. Recently, our community was blindsided by allegations of indecent behavior against Mr. Jonathan Jump, the principal of Mount Olive. Up until these sudden accusations, Mr. Jump had been widely known as an upstanding, trouble-free member of our community who has dedicated his career to local education, while what many in the community find deeply troubling and what warrants independent journalistic scrutiny is the precise timing of these allegations. They emerged immediately after his wife, Tammy Jump, officially launched her campaign to run for DA against the incumbent, Sam Dowies. Where have we heard that Dowies name before?
Wait a minute, Sam Dowies is a sheriff. That don't make sense.
Yeah, which is for
She
Jim
announced,
Call.
Miss Jump announced so that's got to be a clerical error there. So Miss Jump announced she's running for DA. Yeah, that's got to be an error.
Yeah, okay. To many observers from the outside, the timeline raises serious questions about whether these accusations are a politically motivated effort to derail a challenging campaign and ruin a family's reputation, when the power of the legal system appears to align so perfectly with political self-interest, it damages public trust in our local institutions. The people of Claiborne Parish deserve a fair election process and an unbiased justice system free from the suspicion of political sabotage. I'm asking our local media to look past the surface of these headlines, investigate the true timeline and motivations behind this sudden case, and provide the transparency our community desperately needs. Thank you for your time, your dedication to truth, and your willingness to look into the issues that matter to everyday citizens. Sincerely, AJ, Claiborne Parish resident. Well, if you want like real journalists to look into this, better email somebody else, because we're amateur pundits, sort of. But anyway, we will get our investigative team right on that, because we have heard that there may be some tie-ins or things going on that are tied into the DA's race.
So here's what I'm reading. So we've been going down the rabbit trail of dual office holding, and we know of, 2 cases, one confirmed, a second potential dual office holding out there of police jurors and sheriff's deputies, and we've had reported to us other questionable things, and now we're having reported to us a question of color of law
Right.
issue with the sheriff and prosecution of political adversaries, it would seem.
Well,
Yes, my peak meter of interest is like
our
blowing
BS
up
meter
here.
is pegging, and it has
Yeah,
been. And here's what we can say with certainty so far. There's some kind of shenanigans going on in Claiborne Parish. We're going to find out eventually one way or the other, and we will absolutely make it publicly known. What we can say for certain is we sent a public information request to the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department tried to put up a big guardrail to us, and eventually they acquiesced and sent us the information we requested. Then we sent another public information request, the response to which was odd, to say the least, and they have not completed that public information request up until right before the show when I double checked the email. So there's that whole issue. So something just doesn't pass the complete smell test in Claiborne Parish, and that's all we can say with certainty at this point. But yes, we are very aware of these allegations.
So they must have called Bossier City and the school board to say, hey, what are y'all doing about y'all's public information request regarding NDAs? Because best I know, the city of Bossier still hadn't responded to their NDAs. They're still hiding, as well as the school board. I mean, the police jury, at least they had the cojones to say no responsive records. You would think the city of Bossier could do the same thing.
I know.
But
if only we had some insider political contacts with the Bossier City Council that, we didn't. It was all Chris Smith putting that together. I forgot.
If
I
only
forgot.
we didn't have if only we didn't have good old boys. I mean, we could
I
just get
know.
rid of the good old boys and get transparency.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's what we need to do. Maybe we get term limits or something and kind of help to do that.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe so. So anyway, we are absolutely still looking into Claiborne Parish, but our investigative team works at a snail's pace sometimes because they have lots of other things that they're working on. So please forgive our investigative journalistic team when they don't seem to be in a hurry, because if we rush those guys, they'll really get nothing done.
Oh, good grief.
I'm saying
Okay.
that with lots of tongue in cheek.
Yeah, Claiborne Parish, we are digging and we're getting lots of information, and I promise you there is more to come because that is some y'all got some really good stuff going out there that needs a lot of light to disinfect what is happening out there because y'all got some dirty stuff.
Appears that way. All right. Are we ready for Miss Jill? She's not here yet, so maybe text her. Oh, what else do we need to talk about?
Well, we can give it just a little bit. We can get going.
Okay.
I think that's all. We've hit on all the cylinders, and so again on this Senate race, let's get to it. We've had several people send us emails and say, "Look, y'all haven't talked about CCS. You hadn't talked about this. You hadn't talked about that," and
What
and
the
really would
hell?
appreciate y'all. Yeah, no, just
That's so
but
aggravating.
so I was motivated. We look. I wrote an endorsement letter for Fleming at the very beginning. I was on Team Fleming, and then I moved into this position of kind of just sitting on the sidelines because I saw things devolving, and I didn't want to kind of be in it. And this thing has just really went sideways. And anyway, so I think since CCS, and I ask all of y'all at the beginning of the show, are you against CCS? Where do you stand on CCS? Well, Rex, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it for you. Let's play cut to Higgins,
Hold
and
on.
I
You
think
want me to play it or just show it? Because it's like a JPEG.
uh-oh, did I mess up? Oh, no. Okay, so the link underneath that, there's a
Oh, all right.
reel.
Hold on.
My
Yeah,
bad. I
that's
just want
okay.
to
And
play that,
I'm nowhere near ready. Hold on.
and I want y'all to listen to Clay Higgins as he's talking about, carbon capture and sequestration.
All
Carbon
right.
capture and sequestration. Note, I said that as being two different things.
Okay, here we go.
Carbon capture and carbon sequestration, which, ladies and gentlemen, these are two different industries. They're connected, yes, but they're connected in the way that, say, if you're an independent truck driver and you have an 18-wheeler, you're not in the highway construction business, but you certainly drive on the highways. You rely upon the highway construction industry. So the carbon capture is an industry in and of itself, and carbon sequestration is an industry in and of itself. And let me clarify what my record has been. I've been studying this for a long time, but you don't have to trust me or listen to me. I'm going to cite some documentation, but you can go on any AI that you use and just ask it, what is Congressman Higgins' position and record on carbon capture and carbon sequestration? And AI will tell you that I have long been an advocate of private property rights regarding eminent domain. I've always stated that it's a measure of last resort regarding private to public land transfers. It should follow an extreme effort to purchase the land voluntarily, and eminent domain should only be used when necessary for the greater public good on significant projects. Well, on private to private land transfer, that threshold for eminent domain should be much higher, and any purchase agreement should reflect a heavily increased value of the land. And I think it should be 10 times the value of the land. Should be the threshold.
Wait a minute. I got to pause it right there, and maybe that's probably not where you wanted to stop, but essentially he's saying he is an advocate for eminent domain in a private-to-private sense, non-governmental.
Well, if what he's saying is if it's going to happen, it should be at some astronomical ratio that would make it almost not viable to do.
I would argue eminent domain doesn't need to happen except at a government level under very restrictive policies, which it, for the most part, sort of is supposed to be, but never in a private situation. What is Higgins thinking?
I agree, but if he is a minority in the vote, and let's just say he can't stop it, like what you and I, and it's again, and they enable it, which they have. I mean, then what? Should you just try to make it to where it's a 10-to-1 versus a 1-to-1 in value? I think that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that, if I can't win outright, then and stop it, at least I'm going to get you a windfall.
Here's what I would say, which is why I'm not a politician. I am absolutely against it, period, full stop, in any sense of private to private, and I am only for it in very limited situations when the government is going to use the hammer of eminent domain. That's it. Now, if it gets voted in and somebody votes against me, that's on them, but I ain't for it, period.
I agree. And you know what? Every one of us who believe like that, we should just quit fighting in government and walk away and enable the people who believe that it should to just have carte blanche.
I did remember what I said earlier about putting words in my mouth, and I remember what I say, even though we don't have instant replay.
Know.
That's not what I said.
I know, but I'm using you. I'm sorry, friend.
Okay.
I'm using you. And that is the problem. That's the problem in this race, because you've got people that are wanting to just, you know what? I'll burn the house down. And the result, if I don't get my way, I'm going to burn the house down. And in the process of burning the house down, you cede everything to the people that want to go a hell of a lot further than eminent domain.
You take a damn stand and you stand on it on principle. Period, full stop. That's literally what the country was founded on, but we have devolved into something horrifically worse.
I agree.
Clay Higgins' statement right there is a canary in the coal mine of that.
Okay, well, then you know what? He just shouldn't say it. They should just vote against it and then let the rest of the shit happen, and they shouldn't try to moderate the effects. They should let the full force.
No, he should come out and make his stance clear and vote against it.
No, that's what everyone is saying, is that you shouldn't try to moderate. If you can't win outright on the position that you have, you should not say a word. You should just let it go and let the full force of the effect of the negative stuff take its toll on you. And we just disagree. One
thing I do agree about is what Ferris just said. It's official. It's not a hidden little secret anymore. I'm being used. I feel so abused.
All right, keep playing, because this actually is not what I was holding us up on.
All right, yeah, and Jill's in the green room, by the way, so we can let her come in.
Okay, keep going.
All right, here we go. Private to private. So AI will tell you that Congressman Higgins has spoken extensively on these topics at town hall meetings, public events, stakeholder visits, through op-eds and social media posts. My record is replete with the stance in support of we the people and our private property rights and our Fourth Amendment protections. I'm going to cite a few of those dates. In the American Press, August 7, 2024, it describes my meeting with Americans for Prosperity Group, which was at Soella Technical Community College, answering questions from AFP's top energy expert, Faith Burns, and their state director, Scott Simon. We talked about a lot of things, energy in that deep dive interview. It lasted about an hour and a half. It was broadcast live. It was a packed room. And in there, I said clearly that I do not support federal dollars being used to develop new technologies such as carbon capture and sequestration. That was in 2024, ladies and gentlemen. In February of 2025, I'm quoted by KPLC as saying that we have a responsibility to listen to the American people, all of them. And I don't take a position to oppose or support something that is not fully understood. So carbon capture and carbon sequestration is being heavily debated, and what I do support is that debate. It's impossible for me to support or oppose something that is yet to be fully understood. That was in February 2025. May the 1st, 2025, Fox News. I wrote a letter that's signed by many other conservatives for full repeal of the IRA. That's the Inflation Reduction Act. These are all your tax credits, which included the 45Q tax credit for carbon capture. We strongly oppose that stuff. In the letter, we stated that the Republican platform of 2024 affirmed our commitment to terminating the Green New Deal. And despite that commitment, we had some Republicans that we were opposing those Republicans, that some members of the Republican Party were defending wind and biofuel, and they were advocating for carbon capture and carbon sequestration. We opposed that in writing. I wrote that letter. I signed that letter. I was involved in that letter. In May of 2025.
Okay, you can stop right there, because he keeps rattling on every single instance of carbon capture and sequestration that has came up while he's been a congressman that he opposed. He keeps rattling on nonstop. So, and I haven't checked his votes on that to confirm that what he's saying is true. I have no reason not to believe him. I 100% believe what he is saying. But based on that you're hearing him saying, does it sound like he is for carbon capture, sequestration?
Sounds like he's waffling.
Okay. He's voted against all of it, but that's not good enough. He should
but I'm going to use his
God.
own.
He should order God to send a lightning bolt from heaven down to strike anybody that says otherwise.
He should hit rewind and play his own turtle speech back. He literally said he is not opposed to the debate, and I agree with that, of something that is not fully understood. All right, Clay Higgins, let me give it to you real simply.
So voting against all of it isn't good enough. He's supposed to do something more. Okay, that's the standard. I got it. Remember,
not only should he vote against it, he should come out one side or the other and not waffle, and literally, unless everybody wants me to play it back, and I'll play it back at normal speed, what he literally just said.
Whatever.
Here's how you do it. It's real simple. I oppose carbon capture sequestration that is subsidized by the federal government. If a private business wants to figure out how to capture CO2, put it in tanks, send it through pipelines, and send it to private property, fine and dandy. Just don't subsidize it with these tax credits. And he
lying with what he just said, saying he voting against, he voted against all them votes? Is he lying?
That part of it, he's correct, but it's the rest of it that I'm talking about. He's kind of waffling. He's leaving himself wiggle room, which is typical of politicians. Clay Higgins is a politician. I like a lot of what he stands for, but he's a politician.
Go to cut to Higgins. Yeah,
the screenshot. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me do a little screen switching around here. All right. Cut to Higgins. Oh. Livingston Parish voters, RP, the notorious RPJ, Ruth Pope Johnston. Clay Higgins has crossed the line. This is Clay Higgins' cover for the fact that he is abandoning the people and going with the Barack Obama carbon capture and sequestration scam along with the Gov and Letlow. A line has definitely been crossed here by Clay Higgins. I think they let Clay Higgins sniff the CCS money. This fake video of Higgins is a result. Now we know the truth. Clay Higgins is all about theater, not about the people. Remember that when it's time to vote.
So everything he just said is he's a liar and he's a fake. It's all theater, right?
No,
Everything he just said
I'm not saying
is
that
a
the notorious RPJ is. I just said he was waffling in the speech, and I can back it up and prove that.
yeah,
Easily.
yeah. Well. Here's the thing. I mean, he's voted against all of it, but that's not good enough. He should do more. He's responsible for doing more, and if he doesn't do more, he's an Obama
No, that's
liberal
not what you asked.
sycophant
That's not.
and a liar.
It's not what you
And
asked me. I can't speak for the notorious RPJ, but I can.
I,
That's not what you
I
asked me.
well, the Fleming people, that's what it is. If you don't do whatever they want, you're an Obama sycophant, liberal, whatever, and that's complete horseshit. And here's the thing: the man has voted against it. He can't make all them asshats in D.C. vote the right way and go the right way. And to suggest that he can then y'all please, somebody, one of y'all who has the foresight and the knowledge to know how to make them do it one way or the other, please go up there and have a chat with John Thune
Well,
on the
here's
Save
the
America Act. By
Here
all means, y'all please go tell them exactly how to get that done.
now,
Because
hold
and
on.
oh, by the way, John Fleming hadn't committed to vote for the Save America Act.
All right, so I agree that, but I'm going to say it this way: both sides of the aisle, we all try to act like we're the Republicans, and just because you're Republican, you're conservative, which those apples are not the same as the other apples. But we also try to paint a wide brushstroke with everything. I agree with you. If you don't support this, and you must be an Obama-loving, liberal pansy that wants to move to California. Okay, I agree with you on that. Both sides of the coin do that. All right. But if we're going to play that deal and use that paintbrush, guess who else gets caught up in the paint can? Oh, President Trump. God forbid you say anything that Trump does is wrong, but guess
I'm glad.
guess who did not stop the CCS carbon capture tax credit scam in that one big beautiful bill that we've heard Trump talk about so many times and every other
glad
Republican.
you're going there.
Okay.
Cut 3 IRS. I'm so glad you brought that up. Cut 3 IRS 45Q tax credits. And hey, please, y'all in the comments, rip away. And again, there's some of y'all that hadn't declared whether you support CCS or you're opposed to it. I want y'all to go on record and say it. And I don't know.
Look, if you support it, let us know too.
Yeah, that's fine too. I don't care. But
all right, and let me know whenever to have Jill jump in, because I didn't know
what
part of the conversation is coming in.
Well, sorry, Jill. Just be patient a second. I need to get this out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead, because ain't nobody in the comments said they support CCS. I'm going to go on the comments and say I support it. You know why I support it, Rex?
Why? Wait, you support CCS?
I like breathing oxygen, because you know what? What do you think the rainforest does?
Do we want to go through the science discussion quite literally?
I'm just saying. I mean, if we're all against CCS, and by gosh, we're going to draw the line in the sand, then we need to shut down the whole freaking world and cut every tree down. We need to stop photosynthesis. We need to stop it all. We need to shut it down, brother.
That's not a great equivalency, but we don't need to get into
Anyway,
that tonight.
2008, George Bush, with the first funding of 45Q, George Bush was the president. John Fleming was not in office yet. Obama came in, John Fleming came in. 2018 was the second funding of 45Q. Donald Trump was the president. John Fleming was not in there. So and that's the kind of along the lines that I've been going is that, the attacks that the Fleming campaign and people make that, the Obama CCS, and that there wasn't any. And I've
No, it
challenged.
started back in the Bush era.
It started in the Bush era, and I challenged a lot of the people on the Fleming stuff. Look, there was no funding that took place during the Obama era. It was all Bush. Why? It's hypocritical to accuse Obama when there was no funding. And you know what? None of them would ever challenge me on that, and I wondered why.
Go one step further. It's where I keep going. I like Orange Man. I would vote for Orange Man a third time in violation of the U.S. Constitution. However, Orange Man didn't stop it in 2018 when he was in office, the first round, and Orange Man didn't stop it in his one big beautiful bill either.
But
neither did MJ.
Duke must be on those gummies again. Okay, yeah, bring it, guys. I love it. No, I have not been in Gaddy's flower garden, but whatever y'all think, that's fine. That's actually funny.
What does he have planted in that flower garden, by the way?
I don't know. I'm about to go check that out. That sounds interesting.
I think all the flowers are gone anyway.
So as I've had this new epiphany to look and study more deeper into it, and I don't care if y'all believe me or not. Y'all can just ignore this and not acknowledge it. But there's a lot of people saying that Fleming voted for a lot of this crap. So you know what? I went and looked it up. It's out there. 2011, HR 2354, $184 million was appropriated for CCS stuff. So I put a link.
Not in a singular bill, right? It was part of a package bill.
It was a big package.
That's what I'm getting at. It wasn't a singular bill dedicated just to CCS. To be fair, it was part of a bigger package.
That's right. Part of a bigger package.
Okay.
So for the Fleming campaign to say that they didn't vote for CCS, he didn't ever vote for anything or whatever, that's not accurate at all.
Technically incorrect.
And don't take my word for it. We all use AI. I asked Groke, and I shared a link to my Groke request so that everybody knows that my request was fair, not biased or whatever. You can read the response to the first one in HR 2354 of 2011, $184 million as it applied to, was there CCS in it? To which Groke responded and said, yes, there was a $184 million appropriation for CCS in there, and John Fleming voted yes. 2012, HR 5325, another $184 million. Asked Groke the same thing. It went through it all and confirmed yes, and he voted for it. 2013, HR 2609, it didn't appropriate more money, but it funded more under the Department of Energy research is what it did.
Right.
2014.
I'm posting these links in the comments.
That's fine. Consolidated Appropriations Acts, $200 million for CCS. There again, share them. I mean, 2014, HR 4923, $190 million for CCS. I mean, clearly all of those were under Obama's deal. And 2015, HR 8, more CCS. So to say that you didn't vote for it, that's just not right. And I take issue with that when you're making that the platform of your campaign.
Look, we've both had issues with some of our state politicians who basically enabled this. That was the Nancy Pelosi moment. They didn't really read the bill and understand it. They just signed off on it, and they, agree with lobby and let lobby steer them around like a cow with a nose ring. But to McCormick's credit, and I just had a complete mind blank. The other politician that we had on, complete mind blank. We've had him on more than once. Anyway, they at least admit that they made a mistake.
Cassie? Oh, Cassie. Cassie.
Cassie, if you only knew.
If you only knew, you would be saying, Duke, you're so kind.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's fine. You can say low blow on my, you know what? I'll wear that with a badge of honor. So without further ado, and all of y'all, I encourage you to go through the links that Rex put up from
Yeah, I
to
put them
each
in the
one of those
comments.
issues regarding cover. And by all means, I mean, if Groke lied to me on every one of those votes and the funding that happened all during and if you can show me that John, I mean, I didn't want to get in this race, but people have put words in my mouth that are incorrect. I was trying to stay out of
Literally.
this. I don't appreciate it. And I've had my fill of all of this bull crap that's going on. And I'm sure by tomorrow morning I'll be the biggest liar in Louisiana and I'll be getting cut left and right. And that's fine. I don't care. You know, I will stand on this hill by myself. I don't give a damn. I went and read it up and did the research. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Before you call me a liar, you prove me wrong.
Yeah.
So, without
right.
further ado, we're going to go to another subject that's a part of this, and I hate to throw my friend Jill Hines into the middle of this, and who's been so patiently waiting, and we've been so rudely keeping her in the green room. But Miss Jill, how are you tonight?
I'm great, Duke and Rex. Thank you again for
Howdy.
having me on this evening. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All
So,
right. Go ahead, Duke.
I so early on in this campaign with this Senate race, you know, I was watching and I wasn't saying nothing. I was watching you and one of our other friends down in South Louisiana, and y'all were kind of with one of the other candidates that were going to run. And I would I would just say that there was mud starting to sling in all of that race. And y'all were on one side, and ultimately it ended up you ended up even getting named
Mm.
in this mudslinging contest. And Rex, I've got several cuts and some links in the notes there. And to start off, we'll go with the cut one health freedom event. And I think all of this kind of started maybe you had a health freedom event scheduled and you had a lot of speakers and all of that. And tell us about that.
Sure. First of all, it wasn't my event necessarily. I was one of the sponsors of the event. Woody Jenkins has always sponsored and facilitated the Louisiana Health Freedom Day since its inception in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he generously offered to allow us to be a sponsor of the event, which we were thrilled to do. And in 2024, right after Fleming was announced as one of the headline speakers on the event, we were excited. You know, we supported John Fleming's treasurer campaign. We were more excited to oppose Scott McKnight's candidacy in that race, and we saw Fleming as a great option for us at that time. But yeah, Fleming was one of the headline speakers at Louisiana Health Freedom Day back in 2024, right after the 23 elections, and he had won. And yeah, do you want me to go into details about what happened that day?
Yeah, I would. Rex had pulled up the wrong cut, and
Hold on. Let's make sure here. Sorry.
Well,
yeah,
I think I talk about it. I think I talk about it in that one. But one of my concerns, what made me hesitant to just come out of the gate endorsing Fleming when he announced his Senate race very early, early 2025. So one of the reasons I was so hesitant to, offer my support like we did during the treasurer's race was what he did at that event. He came, I think he was one of the closing speakers, and was supposed to close out the event. So he didn't get there at the beginning of the day. He came later in the afternoon when it was closer to the time that he was supposed to speak. And when he appeared, Dr. McCullough, Dr. Peter McCullough, was on the stage speaking. And Fleming was at the back of the room, or back at the venue down at Pastor Spell's church, and stood there listening to Peter McCullough for a few minutes. And the next thing I know, I turned around and I was at the front of the church, and I noticed that Fleming put his jacket on and left. He didn't stay to close out the event. And it kind of left a gap that had to be filled. So anyway, that left me questioning, what happened there. And then in early 2025, during the Kennedy confirmation hearings, I was very proactive in asking state leaders. I reached out to the governor's office, Freedom Caucus, the LA GOP, asking for endorsements for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as he was being confirmed in front of the Senate. Of course, Cassidy was chair of that Senate hearing. He was chair of that committee. I reached out to Freedom Caucus. I reached out to so many people asking for endorsements, and everyone, rushed to do this. They were all in support of Kennedy. When this Senate race started, I've been asked a lot about this from the Maha perspective. Was Cassidy going to win? I knew almost from the beginning that Cassidy wasn't going to win this Senate seat again. You guys probably felt the same way.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No doubt. No doubt.
So everybody was very willing to put pressure on Cassidy to ensure Kennedy's endorsement back in February of 2025. And so I reached out to John Fleming. I have his cell phone number. He and I have been in communication previously in regards to central bank digital currency when that was in front of the legislature. So I had his cell phone number and asked him, would you consider putting some pressure on Cassidy and endorsing Kennedy for HHS secretary. And he very politely said that his team had already issued or was planning on issuing a general endorsement for all of Trump's nominees, not one specifically. That they were going to support all of Trump's nominees. And I thought, okay, that's a big tell to me. At that time, this was February of 2020. Sorry, is my camera cloudy on your end, or is it just my end?
No, it's a little bit cloudy on our end, but it's not bad.
You're,
You've got a halo
okay,
around you.
I know, I can't figure out what I'm doing. So I'm not an angel, I promise. But anyway, that was like that was a huge tell to me. At the same time, Blake Miguez, who at the time was our candidate of choice in that race, although he was not announced, this was February of 2025, he had actually reached out to us and said, what can I do to pressure Cassidy? And he went on the offensive on social media and was doing the best that he could to pressure Cassidy. If you'll go back and look at John Fleming's Senate campaign page, there's no mention of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation hearing. There was no effort to pressure Cassidy from his, and he was already a declared candidate in that race. There was no attempt to pressure Cassidy to confirm Kennedy in that hearing. So that was a tremendous concern of mine because we were working on that for about 2 weeks, and we had national organizations that were reaching out to us here in Louisiana. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people outside of the state that showed disdain for Cassidy over his comments during that hearing, his comments over the last several years in regards to informed consent. And for Fleming not to take the opportunity, again, was a huge sign for me, a troubling sign. And I didn't, I didn't intentionally make any kind of comments about that Senate race. I was going to be proactive for our candidate, which is typically our style anyway. We don't like to, you know, our style is not to go after the bad candidate. It is to really promote our health freedom candidate of choice. But the way we saw the campaign being run, and then of course they brought me into it. Some of
Right.
these campaigns,
Well,
yeah,
let me pause you for a second, Jill, if you don't mind. So refresh my memory, and for those in the audience, on the Robert Kennedy confirmation hearing.
right,
Eventually, of course, Robert Kennedy was confirmed, correct?
correct, he was.
Okay. And I'm not speaking for, certainly not for Bill Cassidy, not for John Fleming either, because I've had zero conversations with any of them concerning this at all, and don't plan to for that matter. It seems to me like there are kind of two camps on Robert Kennedy. There's a set of doctors that support Kennedy. There
Mhm.
seems to be and I support RFK,
Yeah,
but there seems to be a bigger camp of doctors that don't support him, or at least they're more vocal. So I would
right.
say that Fleming, and again, I'm not speaking for Fleming at all, I would say that Fleming was trying to take the smart political move by not opposing Kennedy, but not necessarily endorsing him and following the middle road, whereas Cassidy was doing his making an ass of himself. And in the end, Fleming, kind of skated by on it because, and maybe Fleming fully supported Robert Kennedy. Maybe he did. I don't know. I got it. I saw the eye roll, and I don't disagree with you. But he got his cake and got to eat it too, is my contention. Would you agree, disagree, or have any feedback on that?
I don't know that playing it safe was the thing to do in that with that opportunity. Why not say
I
anything to
agree.
Cassidy about doing the right thing? And again, at that point, Fleming was the only candidate in that race besides Sammy Wyatt.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, yeah. So why not take the obvious poke at Cassidy when you have that opportunity? When you had the governor offering an endorsement on social media, you had the Louisiana Freedom Caucus, you had the LA GOP that issued a statement in favor of Kennedy's confirmation and that Cassidy should do the right thing. You had Senator McMath, the chair of the Senate Health and Welfare Committee. You had Representative Jay Galley, the chair of the Select Committee on Homeland Security. You had you had the Louisiana Surgeon General at the time, Ralph Abraham, who issued a formal endorsement of Kennedy's confirmation. The only I don't even know about, maybe not Nancy Landry, but really the obvious person that should have issued an endorsement of that would have been John Fleming, and he decided to remain silent even after a personal request from the health freedom community here in Louisiana. So, of course, and I cannot tell you, like, I was inundated by
Well,
national organizations, health freedom organizations saying, what's Cassidy going to do? How can we pressure Cassidy? What can we do to pressure Cassidy? Because it was a tied vote without Cassidy's vote, and we needed his. And I don't know if you know, but like there was one point with our national campaign through Stand for Health Freedom that, I mean, they were getting 800 phone calls a minute through the national switchboard at the Capitol regarding Cassidy's vote in that hearing. And the one person who decided to remain silent was John Fleming.
So Fleming, correct me if I'm wrong, and Rex, if you pull up the Facebook post that you originally pulled up, Fleming views everyone. He has a view of everyone as anti-vaxxers. This was a post from your. Explain what's going on here.
Yes, this was a couple of years ago. So if you'll see down at the bottom, it was 3 years ago. And if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of blurry. I can't see it, but I posted this in November of last year. So this was in the height of the COVID pandemic, if you will, probably after the vaccine, definitely after the vaccine had been released. But Fleming was, someone captured a screenshot of Fleming talking to this gentleman and basically talking about people who decided not to take a vaccine. And of course, he's using the pejorative anti-vax, which, you know, I'm sorry. I am, a lot of
Your
people
dog is having fun.
yeah, sorry. A lot of people own that word, but I find it offensive. I think if it's just like a person that, refuses to take an antibiotic or any other drug, they're not anti. They have considered the benefits and risk and they've determined not to take part in it. So he's using a pejorative that I find offensive. He's talking about, and again, this is 3 years ago. He's referring to Andy Wakefield and talking about how Andy Wakefield's influence has spurred this so-called anti-vax movement. But he talks again about Andy Wakefield just last fall when I, made it known about his walking out of the Louisiana Health Freedom Day. Now, let me a disclaimer on the Louisiana Health
Sorry.
Freedom Day. That's fine. I got my own dog issues here. But he refuted that by saying that he had to catch a plane. And I'm like, well, why do you agree to be the keynote speaker of an event when when you already know you have to catch a plane? But when I made it known that he had refused to make an endorsement for Kennedy and that he had walked out of a Peter McCullough event after listening to him speak for a few minutes, he goes on our social media page and he starts interacting with people on our Health Freedom Louisiana page in the comments. And he starts talking again about Andy Wakefield and about how Andy Wakefield made this fraudulent paper and all these kind of things leading to this anti-vax stuff. Totally not true. Like, if you were inclined at all to learn anything about, the health freedom movement, you would know that it initiated with Andy Wakefield's crucifixion, if you will, not literal, but in the press, this guy was just humiliated in the press for a paper that he wrote that, it wasn't fraudulent. He actually made a recommendation that the MMR vaccine be split up into the measles, a separate mumps, and a separate rubella vaccine and not combined, similar to what Trump did last year. I don't know if you remember, but he made comments about that in one of his press conferences about how the MMR should be split up. That's what Andy Wakefield recommended back in the early 2000s. So he talks about this, and 3 years ago, whenever that screenshot was taken, or that comment was made in that screenshot, and then he's talking about it again last year in the comments on our HFL page, over and over again, like not just one time. He's interacting with people in our comments, and it's just wild that I don't know that anybody that's attempting to woo over the health freedom vote would disparage people by using the anti-vax term and then throw in comments about Andy Wakefield that are.
Well, let me give you some perspective of somebody who voted for Fleming in the primary.
Yeah.
So do you remember approximately when the date of Fleming's comment was? Was it during the COVID brouhaha?
Oh, the one that's in the screenshot here?
Yes,
It
yes.
it had to have been in 2021 or 2022.
Yeah. So here's where I have the problem with what Fleming said, and I would tell him directly. I probably didn't when we interviewed him, but anyway, I'm not anti-vax, but
Mm-hmm.
because I took the COVID vaccine, and I would argue it damn near killed me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking that particular vaccine, but I absolutely support the majority of vaccinations. I'm living proof of it. I've been vaccinated plenty of times as a child, and well, here I am. So, but I don't necessarily like his statement there where he's basically putting everybody in the same camp, and then he closes with the emotional, tie, which is people will continue to die if they don't get the jab.
Right.
Well, if they
And
don't
that's
want to take it, they don't want to take it.
that again, and that I totally agree with you. I hate fear-based incentivization. Informed consent has nothing to do with fear. Informed consent has everything to do with facts. Just tell me the facts. What are the risks? What are the benefits? And let me decide. Once you enter into conversation and start talking about, you know, I've witnessed people die. I mean, that is not informed consent. That is initiating a fear-based response in
Well,
medicine.
let's
And
reverse that. Let's reverse
we
that for a
saw it
second.
throughout COVID. Yeah, we saw it throughout COVID.
So let's reverse that for a second. So I'm generally not against vaccines. I'm not for the COVID vaccine, but I'm generally not against vaccines. And I actually looked at the science behind it and have all my life. And, I would recommend that people can strongly consider vaccinations, but I think if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you're about 180 degrees opposite of that. So what would you say to somebody like me?
About vaccines?
Yes, about me recommending that people get vaccines. Would you consider me I'm whatever the opposite term of what Fleming used is?
Oh, like
A
a
pro-vaxxer.
pro-vaxxer?
Yeah.
Well, here, look, this is, we have always described ourselves with this moniker. We're, uh, well, now I can't even remember. We advocate for vaccine choice. So
Okay,
whatever
there you
you
go.
want to do, like, go get as many as you want, Rex. But the point of our advocacy is that your rights and my rights can coexist. Like, I don't have to be forced to be vaccinated. You don't, just to preserve your right to be vaccinated. Our effort is to make sure that an individual is not forced to undergo any unwanted medical intervention. It's been our position from the get-go. Take all
Okay.
the vaccines that you want. But I have to say that if you're putting your child, or if you want to go to work and they have a vaccine requirement and you refuse to take one of those that it's required, you're basically considered an anti-vaxxer. So I hope you see from my perspective, like, we want to preserve your right to refuse that one vaccine that you don't want to take, whereas you should, respect our right to refuse all vaccines if we want to. Because if you think that your vaccine works, why does it matter if I am vaccinated or not?
Oh, I agree 100%. I probably wasn't crystal clear in where I was headed with that, but it was basically to get you to clarify for those of you that out there that may
Yeah.
not have seen Jill before or heard Jill's positions and her group. But I wanted to make sure that you clarify that.
Yes, absolutely. I remembered it. We're the friendly voice of vaccine choice. That's what
There
we
you
like to
go.
say.
Okay. All right. You're still muted, Duke. You're still muted, Duke.
I didn't want anybody to enjoy Bo. He was getting all riled up at Michael Ferris. Michael Ferris was making comments, and Bo was just like growling and snarling. I don't know why. But so the second link under where your cursor is, Fleming did an interview with a Wyoming TV station. And in that TV station, they asked him a question regarding local communities and, basically mandates on people, which kind of segues off of what y'all were talking about. And where was Fleming's mind on mandates at that time? So play that clip and then let's let Jill comment.
Okay, let me make sure I'm getting to the right clip. Hold on here. Let me switch screens for a second. And okay, is this
One more.
that one right there?
No, the one below that one.
This one right here, the Wyoming deal. All right, got it.
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll have it pulled up here. We got to get on that tech guy that's trying to produce this show. All right, hold on. Let me get this thing unmuted. Let me get it completely ready, and then let me switch screens back again. And I think we'll be able to do this. Rec screen share. Here we go. Okay. And let's hope we have audio tonight.
Fleming spoke with reporter Julian Seawright concerning the recent spikes in cases in Wyoming and the status of a vaccine for COVID-19. Here's what he had to say.
So, Dr. Fleming, we had a concern here in Wyoming as we are starting to see, just like the rest of the nation, a surge in COVID cases. Now, for you, I was wondering, how serious is it to put in a mask mandate? Would it really help curb any of these surges that we're seeing?
Julian, I certainly recommend mask use, especially when considerable spread in the community. And certainly throughout the Midwest, we're seeing an increase in cases. Fortunately, the death rates have remained flat. We're seeing 3 per 100,000 deaths. Of course, one death from COVID is one death too many, but I think that people in Wyoming and other states have learned better to live with this disease. As far as mandates for masks, I think that's a case-by-case local community decision made by your leaders.
And on top of that, as we're looking towards the future, lately there have been talks about a vaccine that could be releasable going into early 2021. Do you agree that we could possibly be seeing a vaccine, or is that something that's still a little far out of reach?
No, the final phase of testing for both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have announced huge effectiveness. Pfizer at 90% effectiveness, that's unbelievable, and Moderna nearly 95% effectiveness. And this is on tens of thousands of volunteers. So both will be applying for emergency use authorization this month. And we've already been producing the vaccine. So we could have as much as 20 to 40 million doses of vaccine distributed in the month of December.
Lastly, I was going to ask, as we're still looking towards the future, the really bearing question for everyone in America is just when can we get back to normalcy? Do you see that date for us to be back into normal times anytime soon?
Julian, that's a great question because the American people are asking this question. And I would say to you that probably by the end of the first quarter of 2021, America will be mostly back to normal because by then we will have vaccinated millions of Americans. And as the vaccination rates go up, then the contagiousness, the spread of this very contagious infection will decline very rapidly. And I can see America opening up completely and back to normal, certainly by the second quarter of next year.
Dr.
All
Fleming,
So
That's
I got a question.
why didn't he say anything about natural immunity?
Wait. I want to back up a little further than that. Who was it that very publicly announced Operation Warp Speed in May of 2020? This is November of 2020. Who was it that very publicly announced Operation Warp Speed?
Yes, and who was giving him advice?
It doesn't matter. The buck stops with him. Remember the whole show that he was on for 10 years or whatever, The Apprentice. The buck stops with Trump, and he's the picker of all people that are great.
Well, no,
He's
but
told
Julia
us this repeatedly.
Letlow's husband works for a law firm that lobbies for CCS, so she owns CCS. He was giving advice to the president, so you can't say that one's connected and the other can't be.
I'm not.
No, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
No. Don't put words in my mouth, or this is.
I'm just saying.
I did not let Fleming off the hook at all. He's just as guilty. But I'm just saying, if we're going to draw moral equivalencies, you might as well go all the way to the top.
Have
Because
I
that's
not?
the man
Have,
that was really making decisions other than Congress. You know,
who
he's head of one
who
branch of our
who
federal
brought
government.
who brought to the attention of everybody that the funding of 45Q was in 2008 under George Bush and 2018 under Donald Trump? Who said that?
Oh yeah, you
Who
did,
who
especially when I mentioned the Trump part of it last week or week before
who,
last. So
who
yes,
yeah, but my point is I didn't neglect to say that it was Trump. No, I didn't never do
I
that.
didn't let
But
I didn't
for
let Fleming
some
off the hook and
reason,
literally just
for,
played the video.
for some reason, Fleming had no role whatsoever in
No, 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 no,
advising
no, no.
capacity during COVID.
If you're gonna clutch this side of your pearls for Fleming, you need to clutch the other side for everybody that's involved, including up to Trump, and we're all Trump
No,
supporters.
Can
I'm
I
just
chime in here?
saying,
Sure, Jill.
yes, please.
This is why Kennedy's confirmation was so important. And honestly, going into the 2024 election, like I was not enthusiastic about Trump support. I mean, obviously, I would support him in comparison to Kamala Harris. There's no doubt. But I wasn't enthusiastic about it for that very reason. Like he's never owned up, even to this day, he's never owned up to the harms that warp speed has caused. And honestly, I think that's why he didn't offer Fleming an endorsement, was because of the bad advice that he received during that time. But that's why
Well, maybe
Kennedy,
Fleming was getting bad advice.
well, here's the thing.
If
He
we're
was a
gonna clutch those
doctor,
pearls,
Rex.
clutch them all.
He's a doctor, Rex.
Oh, you don't think
here's
doctors have to do research?
here's
Well,
the
I'm
thing.
All right, go ahead,
Hang
Jill.
on.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, let me chime in because this is really important. Prior to even because notice this was November 17th of 2020. There was a lot of water under the bridge in 2020 by the time this interview was conducted in November. The state legislature had already sent in a petition asking the governor to end the emergency declaration that was sent in October of 2020. We were already trying to get back to normal in the state of Louisiana. We already saw science from other countries. England had a fantastic study that was conducted in like May of 2020 showing that there was no spread in schools. I think it was Ireland, not England. There was, there was an Ireland study of school children showing that school children who continued to do choir and band. Now think of all the spit that's involved in choir and
Oh yeah.
band,
Look, we
right?
don't. Not to interrupt you again, but and I'm fine with where you're headed with this, but we've
Yeah,
absolutely all three of us advocated heavily
yeah, yeah.
for where you're going with that. Yes.
Exactly. So by the time he was doing this interview, we were already trying to get, if I was living life normal by November of 2020, for him to say that it wasn't going to happen until after the vaccine was rolled out,
Hey,
again, is
so
very telling.
it says White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dr. John Fleming. Who is his
Yeah.
boss?
Okay. Again,
I,
background
no,
information.
not a trick
A-
It
question.
doesn't. No,
Not
Rex.
Not
It
a trick
doesn't matter.
question.
It doesn't
It's
matter.
not a
He
trick
was there,
question.
part of the decision making.
Was Trump listening to Robert Kennedy back then?
Are you
Robert
familiar
Kennedy
with
Jr.
Scott Atlas? Like Scott Atlas, and remember my co-plaintiffs in Missouri v. Biden, Jay Bhattacharya, Martin Koldorf, were authors of the Great Barrington Declaration that came out way before this interview was done. Scott Atlas was already at the White House. He had already been ensconced at the White House for several. Have you ever read his book? Plague on Our Nation, I believe, A Plague on Our House.
No,
But
I haven't, but good suggestion.
Scott Atlas was an epidemiologist at Stanford. He had been brought into the White House telling them that they don't need to do any more, closures and stuff.
So Trump is so shallow that he was only singularly focused on John Fleming's recommendation.
No. If you
What is
read,
your fixation with Trump? Hold up, Jill. What is your fixation with Trump?
The
We're
clutching
not,
of
Trump's
pearls
not,
about Fleming's
Trump,
role in COVID
Trump,
when you can make the same
Trump
association about Trump and
is not
everybody else in
running
the
for
White House
Senate.
at that time.
Trump is not running for Senate.
right.
John Fleming is running for
No,
Senate.
Trump just ran for president twice, and
He
we would all vote for
advocated,
him
he
three
advocated
times,
for
technically.
masks. He
Yeah.
advocated for vaccines. He
So did
labeled
Trump.
everybody that wanted to get natural immunity as
I
anti-vaxxers.
don't think Trump did that.
Again, what mask filtered COVID? What
No.
mask filtered it?
Well, none except the
You and I
N95,
did,
technically.
you and I did a show on it.
Right.
And SCBA was the only thing in the comments. The
But that
Pharisees,
pearl
y'all
necklace
tell
is
me.
getting real big. You got to hold both sides of it up now.
The COVID thing was 1 micron. There's no freaking mass that you're going to get yet.
You don't have to argue that to me.
I was a freaking fireman. I freaking get this. I wasn't even a doctor, yet this guy
If
is
Trump
standing
hadn't
next
signed off an
the
authorized
President of the
option
United
warp speed, you
States.
should have been arguing this to him.
He's standing
Okay.
next to the President of the United States saying,
Yes,
yeah,
he was.
mask everybody. Let
And Trump
John
is so
Bell
shallow,
Edwards,
he just listened to
let
Trump Fleming only,
John
who he
Bell
didn't even give a
Edwards
call back
lock
and endorse
everybody
him.
down and mask them till they choke to death. Yeah, that's what happened. But
right.
No, I
Let's
digress.
do the opposite of this. What's Letlow's stance on vaccines?
Nobody should acknowledge John Fleming. They should blame completely.
Right. Let's get off of
he's
Trump.
in the middle of a Senate
What's
race.
Julia's stance on vaccines? Jill, do you know?
We're not talking about her.
Oh, why not? She's the other
Fleming.
candidate in the race. It's one of those two that's going to be senator.
Is there some reason we can't talk about Fleming and his role in this?
You can talk about it all you want. There's plenty of video,
No, we
but
can
I'm
only
trying
talk
to
about
provide
Trump
a little
and
bit of
Julia
balance.
Letlow. The only attacks can be on Trump, Letlow, or Landry.
Jill, did I not just state that I didn't appreciate Fleming's use of anti-vaxxers in that post that I agreed with you?
Yeah.
Okay, not to put you in the middle, Jill, of our little squabble here. All right, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if we're going to clutch the pearl necklace, I keep using that phrase, we need to clutch all of the pearls. So what is Julia Letlow's stance? If we're going to go down the pathway of being anti-vaxxer, well, let's see what her stance is. That's important to know. Seriously, I don't know. Okay.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, sure. You're the guest. Go right ahead. Just interrupt us.
Now, I know Julia Letlow supports vaccinations.
Okay.
And all of her comments that I have seen, though, after she took office, there's nothing of her on public record in regards to this in 2020. And I want to emphasize that. When I look at this race, I see who had the most impact. And prior to even Letlow being, a candidate in this race, when I looked at who had the most impact in 2020, who caused the most harm, of course, Cassidy was right up there. Cassidy introduced the idea of immunity passports to the country, to the world, in April of 2020. None of the other candidates who initially were in this race, all of the other candidates, well, my favorites, of course, were Blake Miguez and Julie Emerson, were staunch advocates for health freedom. So Julia Letlow had nothing to do with 2020. Her husband, Luke, who actually was a candidate towards the end of 2020, around the time that Dr. Fleming was making this comment, he was, he took our survey. He took our health freedom survey and was, we were happy to support him. He was in favor of parental rights. He was in favor of vaccine choice. He was, we considered him a health freedom candidate. He took our survey. I wish I had the screenshots of that for you. I still have it saved somewhere. I was at the event when hang on just 1 second. Okay. Prior to him getting sick, there was, in December of 2020, there was comments in the press about an event that the the reporter was at, that Luke was unmasked around people at an event. I was at that event. He was unmasked. He was very comfortable being unmasked during COVID in late 2020. I was there. So we fully supported Luke Letlow in his race. So when you look at 2020, you look at all of the harms that were caused, Julia Letlow had nothing to do with any of that in 2020. The videos that you see of her afterwards, where she, and I did make a post where she, stood shoulder to shoulder with Edwards, and it wasn't literally shoulder to shoulder, but Edwards shared a post of hers where she's promoting the COVID vaccines. But she's also very upfront in her videos where she says, I don't support mandates. I don't support no business should mandate, no government should mandate. She is very vocal about that when she's supporting vaccines. She supported vaccines in Congress with some legislation that she supported. She co-authored legislation to promote HPV vaccination. And I've talked about that several times where we've asked her through her staff to remove her name as a co-author on it. The author is a Democrat out of Florida. So we've asked her to do that, and that was several years ago. So I know she supports vaccinations. She doesn't support mandates. I know that she has been, since she's been endorsed by MAHA, we haven't endorsed any candidate in this race. We've held off, but she has been endorsed by MAHA Action. I had an opportunity to visit with MAHA Action and Heritage last fall, right after the, or earlier this year after the endorsement, and they've been in contact with her. They're assured of her health freedom stance. So, I know that the people that are in MAHA Action, and I'm very comfortable with the people at Heritage. I work well with the folks at Heritage Foundation, and knowing that they're there and willing to go alongside Julia Letlow if she wins this race. I'm very comfortable with her listening to voices of reason when it comes to issues on vaccines and mandates and that kind of thing. Now, what I'm not comfortable with is a doctor who is very conventionally minded in regards to medicine, who in late November was talking about how your local leaders can determine mass mandates when we had been fighting them for, months since we started Reopen Louisiana in April of 2020. Of course, Health Freedom Louisiana has been around prior to it being Health Freedom Louisiana. It was Louisiana Parents for Vaccine Rights since about 2015. So we've been fighting for the right to refuse unwanted medical interventions for over a decade now. So viewing Dr. Fleming's conventional views on medicine is extremely alarming, only because we have video evidence of him saying that local leaders have the right to impose mass mandates. And you'll see in another video where he talks about how local leaders and local health professionals can determine business restrictions. And this is, again, is in late 2020, when the Louisiana legislature has already attempted to end the governor's emergency declaration. We had been fighting it for months, and here he is speaking in opposition to everything that we have been doing for months here in the state of Louisiana.
Very measured answer. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's perfect.
No, you're good. I'm just thinking about everybody in the comments, and let me go ahead and take a shot at everybody in the comments. I mean, and they're all my friends, and that's fine. I will be on the hill by myself. Y'all can die on the hill with John Fleming. That's fine. But
I'm writing
none of you,
Cassidy.
while you all are taking your shots on Letlow, none of you have addressed the votes for CCS. Every time it's like you're ignoring it. You want to attack Letlow for CCS, but you don't want to acknowledge John's votes. And I'm sorry, that's hypocritical. The second point, and I told John Fleming himself yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I told him himself he was in a position during COVID to have made a substantive effect on the outcome of countless people across this country. I was nothing more than a dumb retired fireman, and even I knew that mandatory masks wasn't going to do anything. He was a doctor, and was in a position of power to where he could have affected something, and common sense didn't apply. It wasn't even factored in. And if y'all want to ignore all of that, then you can ignore it. That's your decision and your choice to make. And I respect your decision to ignore all of that and continue all of your talking points. But the bottom line is, those are facts. They happened. You can have cognitive dissonance if you want. I don't care. I'm not ignoring it. And I take offense to the partisans on the Fleming campaign. And I was going to stay neutral on it. I'm not no more. I'm 100% voting for Julia Letlow. And y'all can be mad at me and you can vote against me, which you probably will. That's fine. I don't care. But the bottom line is, I don't appreciate the Fleming people, the Fleming partisans, not so much John, because I think both John and Julie, I think at the heart, they're the candidate. I think they're good people. Their goal at the end of the day is only to do what they think is right. I don't think they're just evil, bad people. I don't think that. Political campaigns bring the worst out in everybody. But just like Rex so eloquently points out that Trump is responsible for the heavens and the earth, John Fleming is additionally responsible for his partisans being asshats and vilifying everybody if you don't agree with me 100%. And as a result of his partisans, I'm not voting for him. There's things I do not like about Julia Letlow, 100%. But you know what? His campaign team convinced me. I supported him in the first round. I'm not the second round. I'm on Julia Letlow. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done.
I'm still
Go
riding on
ahead.
Cassidy just to be a contrarian.
Well, speaking of Fleming's surrogates, that's the way I refer to them, his campaign surrogates. You know, they drugged me into this by using my name. They quoted me. They used my name. They used Health Freedom Louisiana to disparage one of our favorite health freedom champions, Blake Miguez. They quoted me attempting to make it look like Blake Miguez had voted for vaccine mandates, which couldn't be further from the truth. So when they used my name, it was kind of like, gates are open. I mean, I'm not holding back at this point. You can't use my name, quote me to make a health freedom champion look bad, and then being paid, in addition to all of that, not making that known to people. I've never been paid for advocating for health freedom in Louisiana. I've never been paid from Health Freedom Louisiana. I don't have a salary. We don't take money from candidates. All of the research and stuff that we do on behalf of Health Freedom Louisiana is volunteer only. So for them to use my name to quote me, that's why I don't know if you have video of that bill that they literally had to find an amendment to a bill, I think in 2021 or 2022. They had to go back that far, find an amendment on a bill, not even an actual bill, to say that Blake Miguez voted for vaccine mandates. And I'm like, that is beyond ridiculous. So
good
anyway.
People. Look, Julie Emerson has been a staunch conservative. I mean, ever since I knew her before she ever even thought about running for office. I remember with her and all of the homeschool kids, we were going around the state knocking on doors for different conservative candidates all across the state. She was a part of that. And she is a true conservative. Blake Miguez, the freaking guy, is one of Rex's favorite people on the Second Amendment.
Yeah,
but
on that,
again,
he's a quitter.
but
on
again,
that.
they were the devil. Fleming people have coined them to be the devils, out of the gate. And here we are again. And just, if you're against Fleming, you're the devil. And so
It's so unfortunate how dirty this race has been from almost the get-go. It's just bemusing why Fleming has refused to target Cassidy, why he's aimed right and left at Miguez, I mean, he went for the entire, conservative caucus. He went after Rep. Owen, Guyman, all of them on the CCS issue, which, I don't want to take a position on CCS. I can say I was there last year, 2025, when they had those marathon CCS hearings, not just this year, but last year in 2025. And of course, I've been vocal on it on my Reopen page. I think it's the stupidest thing ever.
I agree with
But
you.
but
that
I
won't
don't
be a
want to.
quote that I'm quoted on. It'll be the quote I'll be quoted on is he supports CCS. Yeah, I support
Yeah,
having
I
forests with
yeah,
trees and all that. That's what I support, natural
exactly.
resources.
Let's support regenerative farming. There's your CCS.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway,
but is
Fleming
it
Fleming was MIA on those marathon hearings in 2025. I mean, he didn't speak out. We've looked. I didn't see anything before June or July of 2025 on CCS from Fleming in the state of Louisiana. Like, he's never commented it from what I've been able to find.
well,
And
I
I think,
think, let me interrupt you for
and
just
I,
a second, Jill.
yeah, go ahead.
I think, and again, not speaking for the Fleming campaign, hadn't talked to him, don't really care one way or the other, honestly. But I think he saw an opportunity because that seemed to be a
Yeah.
hot button issue, especially among staunch conservatives, maybe not the everyday voter. And he
Yeah.
saw an opportunity there and something to latch on, a campaign issue to latch onto. Now, I will say, because we had Chuck Owen on this show, literally apologized for his vote because they let the
Yes.
cows out of the garden or into the garden, whichever way.
Danny
Anyway,
McCormick did too.
Yep.
absolutely. So Fleming's shots at them, I think, were correct. And maybe Fleming's campaign read the tea leaves. And again, I'm not defending Fleming because I don't really honestly care one way or the other. But I think Fleming's campaign saw the writing on the wall that Cassidy's chances were slim. So go for the collateral damage of everybody else and try to wipe everybody else out on this one hot button issue. I think the mistake of the Fleming campaign is not realizing, like Duke and I have talked about ad nauseum, that we have a very focused viewpoint. We assume everybody is into politics or into vaccines or health mandates like we all are. And the
Right.
average voter is really not. I mean, some of them
No.
see it a little bit, but the average voter is really not into it. And I think that's a strategic mistake by the Fleming camp.
Yeah. Well, the strategic mistake is again, just like he did with the mask mandates, is using a fear-based approach on it. And I think that has, I mean, it's made his campaign, in my opinion, incredibly toxic.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, he supported mask mandates on people. He can say what he wants to say, but he did, and I think that he gave the president bad advice. I think that
Too.
you know. I, anyway, just I could go on. I'm not going to do it.
It,
I'm.
if nothing else, he has caused me to have to attack Trump.
Well,
So there you go. There's my anti-Fleming rant for the night, Duke. He has caused
well,
me to have to point out the inequities of President Trump.
Well, look, the
and
Fleming folks are not attacking Mike Johnson because Mike Johnson has voted for pro CCS stuff. I mean, again, if y'all want to go checking some of the records, by all means, go check some of the records. But I sure don't hear any attacks of Mike Johnson. Why are we not attacking him on the CCS? So we're going after everybody. Clay Higgins, we're going after Landry, we're going after Letlow, we're going after everybody. But why don't we go after Mike Johnson on those CCS votes?
yeah.
It's perplexing.
And real quickly, Duke, it's not just mask mandates. The other video clip, he endorsed business restrictions. And
Last
that
link in
that
the note, Rex.
that that killed our economy. Mask mandates and business restrictions, business closures killed our economy. We can't do this again during the next pandemic, and I don't trust him in Congress.
Yeah,
Or in,
that is a problem with me too as well, Jill. I agree. All right,
yeah.
let me hit play on this. Here we go.
It's a time for states to possibly put those restrictions back in place to curb the spread?
It should be a state or local decision and should be left up to healthcare professionals and political leadership within those areas. And so I think you have to judge it by what the level of outbreak is.
If Governor Henry McMaster of the great state of South Carolina called you today and said, Dr. Fleming, should I put some of these restrictions back in place? Based on that, your recommendation would be no right now?
He might recommend, or the mayors may recommend, that you bring down from 100% capacity to 50 or 25% in restaurants. Might want to close bars a little bit earlier than maybe they're open now because people tend to congregate tightly. I mean, there are various mitigation measures that can and perhaps should be taken in certain circumstances.
I mean, I wonder, what do you think? If it's okay for bars, what about churches? I'm guessing we need to shut the churches down because people would congregate in the churches too.
And again, that's October of 2020. He's saying that. It just blows my mind. I mean, the legislature sent the petition October 23rd. That interview was October 30th, and he's saying local leadership, healthcare professionals and political leadership can determine business restrictions. And we were fighting, saying no, they can't do that. And he's actually saying the exact opposite of what we were fighting for here in the state.
Yeah, that is a sore spot with me for sure. Yeah. Again, I'm writing in Dr. Bill Cassidy. Or I might vote for Julia just to piss some of our Republican friends off too.
Well, I had not made my decision, but my decision is made now.
Oh, he's got the sign. Once you put the campaign sign in the yard, it's official.
That wasn't where I started, but this is where I have ended up.
All right, so I got
y'all can all hate me, and I can be a liar, and y'all can make all kinds of crazy, social media posts about me tomorrow. That's fine. I don't care. I'll die on that hill.
I got a question for both of you.
Good luck with that.
I'll start with Miss Jill. So, if Fleming wins, what is it, Saturday? I think the vote's Saturday, election Saturday. Okay, so if, let's say Fleming wins Saturday by some miracle of numbers, are you going to support Fleming in the fall against whoever the Democrat's going to be?
Well,
it's a yes or no question.
Thankfully, I don't have to. We recently moved to Arkansas, so I don't.
What part? You don't have to say exactly where, but what part of Arkansas?
Just outside of Little Rock.
Oh, okay. I lived in Mountain Home for several years. I love the northern part of Arkansas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I got to vote in the last election, but I won't be voting in this one. So
okay, fair enough.
But I did I did vote for Letlow.
Okay. Mr. Lowry.
So I will vote for John if he makes it to the runoff, but he's not. He's going to get the snot beat out of him, and Wes and Ferris and all of y'all are going to lose. You loser dogs. And that's right. You're allowed to be wrong, MB Ferris. You're allowed to be wrong.
This is the thing that I value more than anything. Having been disparaged as much as we have now. Look, here's the great thing about COVID. Regardless of our opinions on Fleming and the great thing about COVID is that it created a great awakening. People that may be, hardcore pro-vax change their minds. Even I have family members who changed their mind in regards to vaccines. So we have this, coming out of it. But the one thing I value more than anything when we're talking politics is the ability to discuss it civilly. And I've seen it devolve over the last several weeks just in comments that people make on my social media post. And honestly, I needed engagement at the legislature more than I needed conversation about this Senate race. So I kind of stepped away from making comments about it because I need people to take action on, call your legislator about this bill and whatever. But I hope that going forward that we can really embrace civil discourse when it comes to these topics and not bring in fear again in any kind of topic doesn't help us make a decision, I think, competently or confidently. That we should just have the facts. We don't need to demonize people. We don't need to, make, anyway, I just want fear to be taken out of the equation, even if it's CCS, even if it's vaccines. Let's just have a civil conversation about the topic and then make our decision from there.
Very eloquently put. So if I do something like this, let me see. Can I do this right now?
Don't put horns on me.
No, I wasn't. I'm always trying to be nice to the guests, but I was gonna, let me find the little, oh, here we go. This will be a good one. There we go. Let's change Duke's name. There we go. So if I did that to Duke, that would not be very civil or very nice.
I can't see
What
that or whatever.
Oh,
I
trust me,
see,
I can make it
I didn't
larger.
I didn't get vaxxed, so I can't see that.
See, there we go.
What is that?
Now,
It's the little devil mask thing, emoji, whatever. So see, was that being uncivil? Is that not being nice?
Look, I've already been the devil. I mean, them Fleming people vilified me already this week. Y'all pushed me over the edge, and thank you. It's liberating, I got to tell you, because I acknowledge the votes, which y'all are not acknowledging. Go check them out yourself. Don't take my word for it. Rex posted them up in the comments.
Absolutely.
Go look it up yourself.
100% agree with you.
And compare it against your candidate's comments, and they either add up or they don't. And if you're fine with that, then you know what? That's your decision. I respect it either way, but doesn't mean I got to go along, and I'm not going along anymore. Not doing it.
I appreciate you being a contrarian, Duke. Contrarian. There you go.
You know what they say? The shoe be's on the other foots.
But one thing I'll add as we kind of close out, to your point, Jill, one thing that I am thankful for is that we have platforms now. Even the individual has a platform of social media to get your word out or your opinion for what it's worth.
Right.
Everybody's got the same platform. Everybody's got the same platform we do. And like we encourage people, if you don't agree with us, light us up in the comments. Just be aware we may put the comments up there and light you up back. But either way, we like to have a good spirited debate, and, Duke and I won't be too mad at each other for too long.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm happy as can be. The only thing I'm mad at is that all of my friends are blinded by the political gibberish out there, and I wish they would just do their research.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Miss Jill. Thank you very much for coming on. It was a very spirited, very good discussion, I think.
It's always a pleasure, Rex. Thanks so much for having me on. Thanks, Duke. Really
All
good
right,
to hear
Jill.
from you guys.
All right, you're welcome back anytime, even if you are from Arkansas now. That's okay. We'll let it slide. All right, see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Mr. Lowry. What else? I mean, it's open topic time now. As we
I expect no less than a wanted sign for me at the post office tomorrow from all of you Fleming cohorts out there, all of you.
Yeah. Who's there? Some of our Republican friends might have a little stuffed doll of you up in effigy.
That's fine. Pitchforks in the street. I don't care.
That's right. I mean, organize a march down Benton Road in opposition to Duke's support of Letlow.
If you think it's the first time I've stood on an island by myself, you would be wrong. It's not.
Yeah. And here Ferris's comment is, Rex and Duke are great people if he only really knew. Jill has done great work for Maha, even if she supports a rhino. See, we can all get along even when we don't necessarily 100% agree.
Well, Val, we did try to talk about the police jury,
Oh, yeah.
and we had a little hiccup on that one. But the Haughton thing, we did talk about that at the
Yeah.
start of the show. And there's definitely some school board shenanigans going on. We can say that. And I think that it goes all the way to the top, to the administration. And we're calling for a outside investigation, because if there's any kind of investigation conducted by the current administration, well, I mean, I think you could probably already figure out how that would go. Just so some nasty stuff going on out there.
And Barry asked, shouldn't all decisions be made at the local level? Well, let's think about that for a minute, Barry. Would you really have wanted King David and all them making all decisions? Do you really want the current police jury and Princess Juliana making all the decisions? I certainly don't.
Well, what about,
there needs to be a balance.
John Bell was making the decisions? Wouldn't that considered as a local level? Did we
State, but
approve of
local
all?
state, yeah.
Yeah, did we approve of what John Bell did to us in COVID? Because that is what we got. And I guess everybody that was fighting John Bell and the local level stuff, I guess they are all Obama liberals. And John Bell, who knew John Bell was a conservative? He was a conservative Republican.
And everybody was wrong about Gaddy. He wasn't purple. The whole time, everybody thought he was purple. Everybody's colorblind.
God, it's bizarro world. I'm telling you, I'm learning so much in this show.
All right. Anyway, you got anything else, Mr. Lowry? I will try to find the correct Bossier Parish Police Jury video where they discussed the library board shenanigans, apparently on last Wednesday's meeting, and I will make that its own standalone clip and darn sure and make sure and post it on Bossier Watch. So keep an eye out for that, Val.
Hey, Cindy, Jill does have a horse in this race. She grew up in Bossier. Louisiana is her home. I mean, she's not live here now, but it is her home. She fought for Louisiana during some of the toughest times, as well as for the country, you know, in the when they were trying to suppress all of the stuff, you know, Facebook and all of that. She was a big part of all of that. So no, I don't know if I would go that far to say her opinion doesn't hold water. Her opinion does hold water, in my opinion.
That would be like me saying, look, I'm from Ruston, so what I talk about with Bossier, I don't really have a horse in the race. I mean, I do live in Bossier now, but I'm not from Bossier. I'm not from Haughton, and we were just talking about Haughton.
Hey,
so.
Hey, and Horatio gets the trophy because he was the first person to say that, you know, I'm owned by Landry. Bravo, Horatio.
Yes.
No. Was I owned by Landry when I supported John in the first round? I guess he's bought me since then. I'm waiting for that one.
Oh, speaking of that, one announcement that I think I shared it out on the Outdoor News, but y'all go subscribe to the Outdoor News.
You're just gonna feed the sharks.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody was just appointed. Now, I don't know if you've been confirmed or whatever, if this person has, but somebody just got appointed to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Commission. Who would that be?
Yeah.
I mean, you publicly announced it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and so there, Horatio, there you go. There's your why that I'm supporting Letlow, is because I got an appointment to the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries Commission. It has nothing to do with the fact that I've been fighting for waterfowl issues for 26 years. Maybe more than 26 years. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I was the executive director of one of the waterfowl conservation organizations that has progressively started a national discussion on the lack of migratory waterfowl coming to Louisiana that's a result of short stopping or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service enabling legal baiting. You know, Paid. That's right, Michael Ferris. I am paid, bought and paid for. That is all of you Fleming
Cha-ching.
folks. That's your story. Just say Duke is bought and paid for. He's an Obama Democrat. I mean, just disregard, that Trump delegate thing for what, 3 times. Y'all disregard all that, and disregard, him being on the platform committee for the most conservative platform of the history of the Republican Party. Just dismiss all of that. Just Obama Democrat. That's what y'all key on that. There you go. Y'all got it.
I'm gonna put you
I lined them out.
I'm gonna put you a new title above your little screen there.
Obama Democrat.
See,
No less.
but I'm gonna do it secretly. I'm gonna put it back in those bricks, just kind of a subtle,
No secrets.
subtle deal.
No secret. No
Oh.
secrets. Make it big and bold.
You're out of the
We want
closet
everybody-
completely, right?
We want everybody to know Obama Democrat right here, baby.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Lowry, except the revelation that you're an Obama Democrat and you're going to vote for Julia Letlow and all this other stuff?
I don't know.
And you're bought and
Wait,
paid for by Landry.
Oh, let's see. I had an elected official send me a screenshot, so let me share it.
Oh,
with
during
you.
the show? This could be exciting.
Yeah, they've already shared it.
Wait a minute. Be careful of sharing screenshots.
And they even used my seersucker jacket. I don't even remember the last time I wore that. Can you believe? Oh, it had they pulled a picture of me from the national convention and put it up there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of them.
Yeah. And I'm having another complete mind blank. Who did you go to that convention with?
Well,
Ronnie,
nothing but
Ramirez.
nothing but. Well, yeah, he went along too. But
Okay.
my wife, the best woman in the world.
Well, absolutely. That's a given.
You ain't gonna share it? I dropped it to you. You got to share it. This is hilarious.
Well, did you send it by text message? Oh,
yeah. This elected official in Bossier.
Hold on a second. All right. Yeah, I didn't get the notification or I wasn't paying attention. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna close it. Heck yeah, I'm sharing this out. Here we go. All right. Julia Letlow has officially endorsed Duke Lowry.
Julia Letlow's endorsed me?
Yeah.
Awesome. I guess.
I don't know what for. It's for the seersucker suit. That's hilarious.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. See all you haters tomorrow.
We're out of here, Mr. Lowry. Take us all the way out.
See ya.